Hello and welcome to Australian Transformers Weekly. We are bringing you Transformers news from around the world and around Australia, but we're talking about it with colloquial Aussie accents, mate. This is episode 229. We're recording live on Friday, March 12th, 2021. This week we will be talking about Rodimus Prime, G2 Ramjet, and some vintage friends that will be making a return to shelves soon, and they're coming to Australia. All that and more coming up on this week's episode of Australian Transformers Weekly. Welcome to the show, everyone. Joining me this week, we have Daria coming to us from Canberra. How are you doing, Daria?
All right, how are you doing there?
You know what? I'm actually stunningly good, considering everything that's gone on this week, and I've actually been out and about, but we'll talk about that shortly. And coming to us from an undisclosed location somewhere in Sydney, Tony Kim, how are you doing?
I'm very wet, Jace. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I am too, because like Sydney's actually just had a drenching tonight. It was like a very sudden drenching.
That was out yesterday.
Yes, it's been like northern New South Wales most of the week, but so it's like the smallest cell of thunderstorms just went through Sydney tonight and just went, right, we're going to tell you what we're like.
Exactly, yeah, and
like
we'll do it very loudly.
Very loudly. A push notification came up on my phone. This was extremely well timed. A push notification came up on my phone and said, "Oh, the Bureau of Meteorology has announced that the severe thunderstorms in the Sydney region have eased." And I kid you not, I looked at my phone and I read those words, and they were accompanied by the loudest thunderclap that I have heard this evening. Like, they've not actually eased, but thanks for trying.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, Sydney's having a completely normal one. It's very wet. How's the weather down there in Canberra, Daria?
Yes, we're kind of feeling the effects of how rainy it was yesterday. It's a bit sticky out there. Came in from it.
It's been very humid in general, but yeah. So look, it's been 2 weeks since we've been on the episode. I think for 2021 we're batting a very good average of not missing too many weeks doing episodes so much. Would like to talk a little bit about what I did on the weekend, just to be a little bit self-indulgent, if no one minds, because
knock yourself out.
I actually think it's pretty important. I'm going to bring in the screen share because I've got a little bit of a slideshow. TCC and TFDU, Transformers Down Under, we are both teamed up to put on a very nice and expansive display at Oz Comic Con on the weekend. Now, this is actually pretty momentous because we're not actually completely out of COVID restrictions yet, but Sydney and New South Wales are doing well enough to actually allow us to put on a convention pretty much like those of old. First of all, we've got to say thank you to Oz Comic Con for the space, because unlike Supernova, Oz Comic Con doesn't actually charge fan clubs for attending. We can't sell anything, but that's okay. And so we got a really nice big space on our booth. As you can see, we had 2 tables. We had a nice little sort of random assortment of figures on the front table, and we had the Chaos Bringer himself. Unicron is there in planet mode. We didn't actually transform him into robot mode at all, because we figured that it was going to be more difficult to put him into the box to take home. But yeah, the world's biggest transformer is on stage and on the stand, and I tell you what, Unicron got a pretty good reaction from passers-by, old and young alike. I mean, there's a lot of people who come past the stand and they're just like, well, I remember the 1986 movie. I'll just move through some of the photos. There's Clinton from Toy Reel there, who was surprised by me snapping some candid photos of him there. And there's a bit of a look at what look at sort of what a convention looks like in 2021 under COVID restrictions. So very, very wide aisles, which I have to say I found quite welcoming. I don't know if I assume you guys have been to conventions where like the aisles are like, 2 meters wide and everyone's packed in like sardines. So like I really appreciated the extra space. It made it really easy to keep my distance from people as I was walking around, and so we had a lot of the usual suspects in terms of retailers and the like coming along. There's not really that many guests because obviously they can't fly any international guests in for the convention. There are a lot of local personalities and some cosplay personalities as well. So it was a bit different. It was a bit different in that respect, but plenty of local artists came out for the first time in about a year to come join us and all come and hang out and be seen together. Now,
Jace,
obviously go on.
Sorry, I gotta say, it was this photo. Are these photos taken at a time where there was a bit of a lull in terms of the crowd numbers, or this is representative of how many people were actually there on the days?
No, I'd say this is actually quite a lull.
Okay.
These were sort of taken at the start of the day, and
yep.
One of the volunteers came past the stand, and it must have been I think they opened the doors at about 9, and there was sort of a very, very sort of slow roll of people coming through.
Right.
And one of the volunteers came past the stand. He's like, "Oh yeah, it's like we did sell quite a lot of tickets, but there's not that many people coming through." And I've just looked at him. I'm like, "Do you know that your website's counting down to 11 a.m.? Not 9 a.m." And he's like, "Is it? Oh, okay, fair enough." So, and I was like, "Yeah, like the website's counting down to the wrong time for like doors to open. So like maybe that has something to do with it." And sure enough, like so this was early on Saturday, and so by the time lunchtime rolled around on Saturday, there was definitely like a fairly strong torrent of people coming through.
That's good.
Like strong enough that like at times it was a little bit difficult to keep distance, but like sort of our social distancing restrictions are down to 2 square meters instead of 4 now, and like there's definitely enough to sort of keep your distance there. But there were times when we sort of looked at the stream of people coming past the stand and we're like, "Oh wow, that's quite a lot."
And did you have to wipe down the toys every time someone touched the Matrix or everyone poked the Unicron?
We didn't. We did have wipes there if people wanted to. We did ask, and the official answer was no. It's not a requirement.
Right.
There was in terms of COVID restrictions, there was to be initially a limited number of people per session. So there was going to be a morning, a lunchtime, and an afternoon session on Saturday. And apparently, about 24 hours before they started the convention, the word came that they don't need to do that. They just allowed anyone in at any time, and the crowd was really well behaved, and everyone seemed genuinely happy to be there. So
that's
we're
great.
pretty happy for it.
I saw some great footage.
I was going to say, in terms of things that we had going on the stand, obviously, like we had Unicron there for people to sort of come and look at. We had the Studio Series 86 figures you can see on the table there as well, and we brought back one of our convention favourites. We had the Junkion Matrix of Leadership. With, I must say, special thanks to our producer Brad for sending me the Junkion Matrix. We had a lot of fun with it. We very much appreciate it. So we're going to make that sort of one of our convention staples. So get people to come along and have a photo with the Matrix. As you can see, Clinton is enjoying the thrill of posing with it there. Also, I did like to tell people that we put the Matrix on the table with Unicron, because otherwise he would have consumed the entire show and been pretty upset. So we put Unicron on the table with the one thing that can stop him. And there's Michael Vella, who some of you might be familiar with from interactions in the group. So Michael's one of the admins of Transformers Down Under, and was giving us a hand running the show. And as you can see, he managed to open the Matrix, but we failed to put batteries in it, so it didn't actually light anyone's darkest hour. But everyone could imagine it quite happily.
I also saw there was some great footage uploaded of people doing speed forming. You haven't touched on that yet.
Yes, we did. We did do speed forming. We didn't do too much speed forming. People didn't really want to come by and try to transform Optimus Prime quickly. So we didn't do it very much. I think if we're in a different convention setting, so we are looking to do Collecticon Campbelltown at the end of March. And so hopefully there we might be able to do a bit more of an organised speed forming contest. But It was kind of weird. So we did a recording of Michael doing speedforming. I think his time came in at about 30 seconds, and there was another chap who came past, and we took a video of it. And halfway through the video, his mate has sort of come over to me while I'm filming, and he's just gone, "This is one of the hardest Transformers, isn't it?" I'm like, no, like it's actually not. Like it's a G1 Optimus Prime. We use KOs because we won't be too upset if people break them from man.
Just in case.
Yeah, just in case, absolutely. I was like, no, it's actually not. And the guy's like, he's really puzzled what to do with it, and he's just gone, I've never seen this Transformer before. I'm like, why did you enter a speed forming contest? Like, why did you sit down to you can see the banner on the table in this photo. Speed formers, be the fastest, win a prize. So, it was a little bit confusing, but yeah. So we had lots of people come past. This is TCCA member Jacob Babick and his little son, who also had a bit of a thrill looking at Unicron there, and also managed to light their darkest hour there with the Matrix. I have a lot of photos of them actually. Yeah, we did have a GoBot invade the stand. This was courtesy of Paul Agnew, who some of you might know from the group. One of our friends came by earlier in the day and was just like, "Oh, where's the GoBots? Like, why are there no GoBots on the stand?" So, well, we'll get a GoBot if we can. And then I asked Paul if he had one in his bag when he came past, and yes, he did. There's Ben Keenan and Wesley Adolph with the world's smallest hamburger, which we did put to good use. We tried to feed it to Unicron.
Nice.
He was not especially pleased by it, I must say, but yeah. So we tried to feed a few other things to Unicron as well, besides the burger. We fed him Principal Skinner. Principal Skinner didn't go over so well. It actually looks like Principal Skinner is just like giving Unicron a service like under the car or something. Yeah, but Paul also was kind enough to pull out a bunch more 1/6 like dollhouse scale accessories. So we dutifully wrapped up Grimlock. We gave Grimlock control of the barbecue and had him serve a couple of burgers for everyone and put him in an apron because why wouldn't you? Hot Rod, Studio Series Hot Rod was pictured with an icy pole, and there's me sitting there with a bunch of the other guys on the stand. This is how we had Unicron displayed. We put a nice little standee in front of him there, and put the instructions out if people wanted to have a look and see what he looked like. And then we set up Cyclonus and Scourge with their own 1/6 accessories, but the Matrix was nearby to keep an eye on them. So yeah, it was a very fun day. We had a lot of fun, as you can see, passing the Matrix to people who are cosplaying from other franchises, and yeah, so there's a lot of stuff going on. This guy's an NRL player. I'm not entirely sure of his name. His name's Eloy. I can't remember his surname. He came and hung out on the stand for ages. It was really good fun. So yeah, and of course we had. I don't know if you guys would have seen photos in the past from conventions that we've gone to. We had Sunstreaker come past. Some fantastic cosplay, and yes, so she has Bob stuck to the front of her costume. And if you can see, so we've given her masterpiece Sunstreaker to hold, and just off to the left of shot, which might be in the next one. So you can see there's a G1 Sunstreaker that's from Ben Keenan's collection. We're just stick this in the shot with Sunstreaker. You can't have enough Sunstreaker in one photo.
I love it.
So yeah, it's a fantastic cosplay. And yeah, I'm always impressed. I always love seeing her when she comes along to the stand and has a chat. We also gave the Matrix to someone from Star Trek Discovery, and we also fed Wheelie to Unicron,
where he belongs.
Where he belongs. Many would say. However, someone on Twitter turned this photo around 90 degrees and just said Wheelie looks very comfortable.
Tastes like disappointment.
Yeah, it does look kind. You flip it sideways, look kind of like he's some kind of weirdly decorated spa.
So we managed to get someone who was cosplaying a Top Gun cosplay to hold Maverick. He had no idea what was going on. He was not a Transformers fan. There's the Matrix itself. We got a couple of Star Wars people to hold the Matrix, and there's a nice little scene setting photo of the Sydney Showground. So, all in all, gotta say, had a lot of fun at Oz Comic Con. It was really nice. It was really nice to be back out and meeting people from the general public, speaking with people about what Transformers they liked, and it was also pretty cool to show people Unicron. People would bring their kids past, and one little kid came up and stood next to Unicron, and he just looked at it for a bit, and he's just gone, "Does this transform?" And he just looked at us with this shocked look on his face, and we're like, yeah, it does. And someone pulled up a photo of Unicron's robot mode on their phone and showed it to him, and his jaw hit the table. It was like, I can't believe this thing transforms. It's amazing.
And then you said to him, okay, now it's time to speed form Unicron.
No. So I actually have a slight problem. I'm going to put myself on the full camera because you might be able to see. Now, I've been saying for a really long time that Unicron is going to sit on the shelf above me in the background. Yep. Now, there's a slight problem with this. I've put the stand up there, and the stand does not fit. So the stand doesn't fit on the platform on which I've decided that it would sit. So that's not good. But a bigger problem is also, like, if I just tilt my camera up slightly, like, if you've seen the photos of Unicron's planet mode, right? Like, that won't even fit in planet mode there. So yeah, I've got a bit of a problem.
I don't even think you can just stuff him in.
No, I don't think I can. So I'm going to have to reconsider how Unicron gets displayed in my house.
Wouldn't the easiest solution be to put him up in robot mode, like Simon Chambers has done? So
I could do that. I think if I do that, I can't stand him on the stand, and I really do want him to be on the stand, but I might be able to anchor him on something else. I'm giving that some consideration.
I'm sure this is a concern that most Unicron owners have thought about as they've taken the robot out of the box.
It's definitely a thing. When it comes out of the box, the first thing that hits you is the new Unicron smell. Like, it really does smell like plastic and paint having come from the factory. And then the second thing that hits you is just the sheer size of it. So we did an unboxing video for Toy Reel, and that's coming out in the next week or so. And there's a lot of us standing around going, "How the hell do we make this work?" Like, yeah. Sorry, Daria.
I listened to another cast, and one of the presenters said that she might have been able to justify the cost, but she had literally nowhere she could put him in her apartment.
Yeah. There is always one place that you can put it. You can put the box in your living room and just put a bench top on top of it, and there's your new coffee table.
Well, that's the other thing she said. She said, I could just clear everything out, make him a centerpiece, and everyone who visits just has to live with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Just give him a seat at the table. Like he can just permanently sit at the end of the table. Like, all you have to do is go to IKEA and spend $30 on a chair.
Get him a high chair.
Or even just for carpooling, Weekend at Bernie's style, you have him sitting in the passenger seat.
Well, so there are some freeways in Australia that have a transit lane that requires you have a passenger in the front seat in order to use it.
Right. That's right.
I mean, surely the cops wouldn't dare
Daria,
pull you up.
I think
we've broken Daria.
Yeah,
I should not have been drinking when you said that.
Yeah. Like, surely the cops won't dare pull you up if you've got the Chaos Bringer riding shotgun in your car, right?
Yeah, correct. Or they'd have to answer to Unicron eventually, right? So, there'd be a problem.
Eventually, yeah. Perhaps I misjudged you. Proceed on your way to county court and pay your ticket.
To oblivion.
Yeah, that's what I said. All right. Let's go and talk about some Transformers news right now. We spent a good 20 minutes talking about Oz Comic Con. So I think it's time we start talking about the news of the week, which means I'm going to bring the screen share back in and go. No, not like that. That's going to go in there, and that's not the right layout, but that is the right layout. I do apologise for the size of the photo. And that's what happened. In fact, it's bigger in that view, I think. News came out just today, in fact, that Kingdom Voyages, the Wave 2 Kingdom Voyages, Dinobot and Inferno have been seen in Australia. Now, we thought that this might happen in the next couple of weeks, a couple of weeks ago, so it's good to see that the timing was about right. According to Ozformers, they have been seen in Toy World and Maya stores in Victoria, Western Australia, and South Australia. Notably, that means, Tony, that as per usual, you and I are shit out of luck.
That's exactly right. It's just so interesting, though, guys. Like when you see this stuff come out at Toymate, how the distribution pattern is the same as it was in December of last year when the Studio Series 86 Hot Rod and Scourge came out. Just magically appeared one day randomly in Fountain Gate at a Toymate, and then what you'll see is like this rollout that eventually will get to retail stores. But this was such a surprise again, and I should have known better. But I as in to not be so surprised this time. But I was genuinely surprised, and also the price point is like $48.99 or something on that, which I seem to recall might be a little bit cheaper than what the other Studio Series 86 figures were back in December.
No, I'm pretty sure that's standard Voyager price. So
is that right? Okay.
Are they $48.99 or $49.99? They should be about $50. There's not that much difference.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
But of course, the Studio Series 86 figures did famously go for like $29 because Big W's staff are lazy.
That's right. This is amazing, though. Yeah.
So you can now find Inferno, which Inferno does seem to be a far more highly sought after version of the fire truck figure than the still shell forming Earthrise Wave 1 Grapple. Who can still be found on Maya store shelves nationwide. Maya has not quite figured out that to get rid of their grapple oversupply, they're going to need to discount him, but they will eventually. So if you are looking for a grapple, maybe just hold off until Maya has them on sale. And we have also heard that the peg issue with grapple has actually been fixed on the Inferno remold.
Interesting to note that Inferno is also out in Maya stores, according to this Ozformers note. And
yes, we said Toy World and Maya.
And Maya as well. Can you imagine how confused the Maya staff will be when they see all the 57 grapples that are on the shelves, and then they have to add another 57 Infernos? Hey, these guys look exactly the same except for the color.
Do you reckon they might put Inferno behind grapple, and you have to buy this one first?
That's right. I'm hoping for a 2-for-1 deal at some point, but yeah, interesting.
yes. If you want Inferno, you have to take a grapple with you. We don't care. Just give us the $50 and get out.
That's right.
So yeah. Now, of course, the one that we haven't really spoken about is Dinobot in there, and I'm not really that into the Beast characters, so I don't have that much of a perspective on them. Daria, are you a Beast Wars fan?
Yeah, some of them. I mean, a lot of the ones I really like as characters I've already got in some form or another. So while these are pretty cool toys, they're not pretty cool enough to overcome the ones I already have. Like I got that Japanese Black Arachnia, not the masterpiece, but the one based on the animated mold. And she's fine being my Black Arachnia. Yeah. So cool as the Kingdom Black Arachnia is, I don't need her any more than I needed the Legends one, and I seldom double up if the character isn't Grimlock. So
yes, fair enough too.
What do you think of the design of Dinobot, Daria, as a Beast Wars fan? Does it sort of tick all the right boxes in terms of the figure?
Oh yeah, I mean Dinobot had a lot of problems back in the 1990s because he was very much one of those figures designed to be looked at from only certain angles.
Right.
And he kind of turned into a skinny velociraptor with a whole bunch of junk in the front trunk, I suppose.
Right.
And honestly, I haven't looked at the pictures properly yet, but I understand a lot of people were impressed with how they managed to finally turn the very stylized animation model into something approaching solid with the masterpiece. And it looks like, obviously this isn't a masterpiece because, well, it's not a masterpiece, but they've done a lot better possibly with the advantage of having 20-some years hindsight, and of course, all those animation models to work from to know what people think of when they think of Dinobot.
That's true. And of course, Dinobot was the one character, we think at least, that we actually saw in the Earthrise series from this line. Because we saw the robotic eye peering out of the bushes at the very end of the final episode of Earthrise.
Yes.
Well, needless to say, I'm kind of hoping that Generation Selects, or whatever they're called, or whatever range they have, does the same recolor they did in the 1990s and turning this guy into another Grimlock, because I definitely collect Grimlocks.
Well, possibly. So the one thing out of these two figures that I can say we've heard on the Generation Selects front is that there will be a Generation Selects Inferno repaint. It will not be Hauler, as everyone's really wanting this. Everyone's really wanting the green fire truck, but it will apparently be Art Fire. So everyone's going to take their red fire truck and they're going to get a red and white fire truck. But Art Fire is also fairly well regarded by collectors, I think. So I think that'll go over quite well.
I think he's also, for a lot of collectors, still got that cachet of he started off as a Japanese-only character.
Yeah, which, I mean, they love doing that for Gen Selects. So, yeah. In fact, we are still expecting a second deep cover at some point this year as well.
That's right. Which I think in a previous podcast, I suspect is actually part of the Netflix wave that will come.
Could be. Yeah. We'll find out. Let's move on. So if you are in one of the lucky states, which is again not New South Wales, you can probably
not ACT
this weekend.
We're out of luck again.
You're in New South Wales, so like you're not lucky by default.
That's right.
We're
one of us.
swaddled by New South Wales.
Yeah, exactly.
Come and join the club.
You're surrounded. So yeah, if you are in one of the lucky states, you might be able to head out this weekend and grab yourself a Dinobot or an Inferno or both if you feel like splurging. Let's talk about the big red and orange guy.
Oh lordy!
It got revealed this week. I mean, it wasn't really that much of a revelation. It's been rumored for a very long time that the Commander class figure for 2021 would be Rodimus Prime, and this week he was officially unveiled and revealed to be the Commander class figure for 2021 on. I think it would have been Wednesday, Wednesday night, I think, or maybe Wednesday morning, by Takara, not actually by Hasbro, but Hasbro very quickly followed up with their own photographs of the figure. So Takara blew the lid off this one, and they published a number of photos that we have on screen here, showing a, I'm going to say a large-ish figure. We're gonna get into talking about what exactly the main robot figure for Rodimus Prime represents, but he does have. Oh, that's good. There we go. The photos take a little bit of time to load. He's got the rifle, which looks like it folds up. I had previously said to people that it looks like it might connect, but I think the rifle might actually just double up and fold over on itself. There's a sword, which is I believe it's the Sword of Primus, which is actually from the Regeneration 1 comic. Which has confused a lot of people who are like, I don't remember Rodimus carrying a sword. But you know what? Transformers look good with swords, so who cares?
It was either that or a giant gold disc that he had to choose from in the comic. So he chose the sword.
Well, so the giant gold disc is kind of taken this year, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
so fair enough. Actually, that actually does make me wonder if maybe this actually figures into some of the end game for the Unicron appearance in Earthrise. Because remember, Galvatron tried to give Megatron a giant gold disc.
Nice connection. Yes,
yeah,
you're
maybe
right.
Maybe there's some kind of a connection here that Rodimus is going to end up having to be the one that fends off Unicron. We will see. First of all, he might kill Optimus Prime, but we'll see what happens. Apparently that happens.
The day is young.
Yeah, apparently that happens in a lot of continuities. So I hear, but yeah, can't go back. So we're going to go forward. So Rodimus comes with something like 10 or something different effects, blast effects and things like that for the various weapons that he comes with. So you can see he can double hand his rifle. Although I must say, I personally have never seen anyone handle a rifle quite that way. I don't know. I don't know if anyone's gone through military training or not, but that is not how you hold a gun.
That's the sign of someone who's afraid to hold a rifle, and then it's just accidentally gone off and shot his sergeant.
I mean,
No, it's shot Prime. It's shot Prime. That's how he's done it.
Clearly, that's what's happened. It's like, oh shit, I've done it again. So there is also a matrix that comes with him, and there is a matrix glow piece as well. Now this is an interesting one that we're going to come back to in a minute as well when we start talking about relative size of these characters. Bearing in mind, this guy is a commander class figure, right? So going on the commander class, like, he's expected to be bigger. He's expected to be bigger as in like sort of Jetfire scale. Or Skylynx. And so Skylynx has sort of taught us that you could expect two pieces that are like not in themselves enormous that go together. And so Rodimus Prime comes with his trailer battle station. And so he's in car mode, he connects up to that, and as everyone's fond of calling it, the Winnebago. It does look as if the gun tower out of the trailer can be moved independently. It's got sort of like some fake molded wheels on it, and it looks like it might move around a little. There's a bit of a burnt paint job on the cannons, and Rodimus can of course man the gun turret and shoot down those pesky incoming Decepticons. And there we're looking at the vehicle mode, and I hear the groan from Tony. So, come on, Tony, hit us. What do you got?
Okay. So first of all, let's just start with the really simple one. How far out does the car need to be from the Winnebago? Why is the Winnebago sitting so far back from the car?
I think it needs to go there so that the canopy, the canopy of the car can lift up without running into the trailer.
Right. Okay. I'll give you that one. That's a very small give. But have a look at the exhaust pipes. Why don't they join up?
Okay.
Yeah. And so will Hasbro, based on this toy.
Apparently, yes.
What is going on with the exhaust pipes from the top of the Winnebago? There's a gap, and then there's the rest of the exhaust pipes. Why?
There is.
Why?
I don't know.
I mean, come on, guys, just try to join up the exhaust pipes. It shouldn't be that difficult.
Well, I don't have a thing for it. And you know what? To be perfectly honest, until you pointed that out, I hadn't noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now it's screaming out at us.
Yeah, thanks. Now that you pointed it out, I can't unsee it. Thanks a bunch, Tony.
Yeah. Well, this
you.
is why I'm sighing. I'm looking at this, and also I'm looking at the wheels, and like I'm not being that precious about the wheels themselves, but there's no rims on these things. It's just a little bit of plastic that could have been found in a Lego kit or something like that. You could have just stuck that onto the side. This is such a disappointment. The vehicle mode is such a disappointment to me. It doesn't look right.
It does actually, like, you do bring up a point, right? Like, this is not a figure that they can necessarily say, oh, we've had to cut corners on, right? Like, it's $150 figure. Correct. Give the wheels a hubcap. Like, paint the middle of the wheels chrome. Like, you've used chrome on the pipes, even if you've not missed a chunk of them. But I mean, look, it's still, like, ultimately it's a bit nitpicky, really. Like, we're looking at photos of a thing online and picking it apart. There's every chance that when this rocks up and it arrives in person, it's going to be awesome. So,
I said the same thing about Earthrise Sunstreaker and the difference in the yellow paint, and I was sadly disappointed when I got it in person, Jace. So I am going to judge the hell out of this picture.
It's fair enough. I seem to be the only person who doesn't seem to have a problem with his Sunstreaker paint matching. But it also depends on how you photograph it too.
Yeah.
But at least the yellows on this match up, right?
But I think what this picture shows, though, is that if you look at the Winnebago and the justification for paying a commander class price, what this is doing is it's moving away from the scale of the figure being the driver of the price, right? Because I feel like if you line up this Rodimus figure, it's apparently meant to scale quite well with Earthrise Optimus, but the bulk of the plastic
we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah,
sure. But the bulk of the plastic is clearly in the Winnebago and that little battle station that he's using. So what you're in my mind, the premium that you're paying as the commander class is for the Winnebago itself. It's not for the actual figure. It feels like that figure should be more of a leader class price.
I don't disagree. I I've got a couple of suspicions about the figure. Let's just have a look at one last photo. So that's sort of the cab in a sort of a standalone hot rod-esque mode before you connect it up to the back. I have to ask, why do we call it a Winnebago? I've actually been looking for research on this, and it's not an Australian thing.
No.
Americans call it the Winnebago as well. I feel like at some point in the past we just started calling it like a futuristic Winnebago, and it's just stuck.
Oh, it was definitely a thing during the Alt Toys Transformers days.
Yeah.
I think maybe because it was the only sort of RV type vehicle that people immediately thought of, and because it's not immediately clear what he's actually supposed to be in any real terms.
In fact, I think I know what it is actually. If I go back to that, I think it's actually because of the nose on the trailer, because that's actually like a design conceit of an actual Winnebago.
Well, there you go. That probably doesn't hurt either.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about relative scale of the figure. Right? So we've seen his robot mode, and there's a couple of things that I note about the robot mode, but a lot of comparisons have been made. People have subjected these photos to some really, really intense scrutiny, and this is what they've come up with. They reckon that the robot part of Rodimus Prime is about the same size as Optimus Prime, which, to be fair, it probably should be.
That's fine.
However, we do know that Voyagers are getting pretty small these days. So, in saying that, he's about the same size as Optimus Prime, we're really saying that there's a Voyager figure with a trailer that's becoming our commander class.
Yes.
So this person who posted this onto Twitter, he actually posted a lot of evidence for his comparison there. So you can see he's compared the size of the 5mm ports that are visible in the photos there. So he's sort of taken the one on Prime's smokestack as a reference and compared it to the one that you can see on Rodimus's leg, and then sort of scaled the figures from there. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking at there. There's comparison of wheel sizes there as well, and that one's possibly a little bit more telling in terms of the size of the alt mode.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's actually scaled incorrectly, because even I can see that the wheels on Earthrise Prime are way smaller than the wheels on Rodimus.
Yeah, even if you just sort of mentally transform them in the picture in your mind's eye, they don't come out the same.
No.
In fact, if you look at what he's actually done there is he's compared the 5mm ports again. So that's actually not a wheel comparison. It's not a wheel comparison. I used the wheelie joke a lot on the stand at Oz Comic Con. So there's a lot of size comparisons going on. There are a lot of people I feel they're quite justified in asking, hey, what's going on with the size of this figure? Why are we getting a smaller figure for Commander Class? We haven't actually seen any official images of this figure side by side with anything else. So a lot of this is based on image scaling and comparison, and it's an imperfect science. But we'll see where we go with that.
I think I'd be comfortable with the scale being the same as Earthrise Optimus. I think that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from a cartoon perspective, I don't necessarily think there were episodes where you had a Rodimus and Optimus together. It was always Optimus and Hot Rod, wasn't it? Or was there maybe season 4 when they had the plague? Wasn't
very
maybe they had Rodimus?
Very rarely, but yeah. I mean, there wasn't really that much call to have Rodimus and Optimus together because one of them dead.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
But yeah, so the one thing I would like to sort of point out here, right, is I actually, this is something that I might well regret saying, but looking at the way that Rodimus's shoulders sort of shaped, right, and he's able to move. He's able to move his shoulders sort of up and down on angles. What other hot rod figure have we seen recently that does this? Waits for people to answer. It's the Studio Series 86 hot rod. I feel like this figure shares a bit of engineering with Studio Series 86 Hot Rod. I mean, like, he turns into this almost the same alt mode. He's got a different wing on the back of him, obviously, but I feel like his arms move in much the same way. And if you look at his knees, I feel like Studio Series 86 Hot Rod, we questioned and said, like, why are the knees yellow? Well, they're not yellow on this one; they're grey. But do they actually have a very similar knee assembly on there? Like, is this figure a bit of a retool of that figure?
Sorry, Jace. The reason why I paused before, because I was trying to understand your question, because I had assumed that everyone would just say that this Rodimus mold is exactly the same as the Hot Rod mold, but just with different pieces on the on the outsides. But the engineering and the design would be exactly the same as Hot Rod, just bigger.
Yeah, he looks very similar, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Looking at the hands, I feel like he might be able to move his first finger individually. That might be a little bit different.
That is one difference. Yeah, if you zoom in on that picture, you can see that there is there is more articulation on this, which I think you're right. He can do the finger where he points at Galvatron and says, "This is the end of the road." I feel like that's what they've probably designed in that. Yeah, there you go. Was it my delivery, Jace, that made you give you goosebumps, or the line?
It was very realistic.
The delivery? Okay,
so maybe they've scaled up Studio Hot Rod a bit, because you can do that now. You can just scale up without much trouble. And given that in many ways Rodimus Prime basically is Hot Rod scaled up, even in story, that's not unreasonable. But I think you'd actually have to be a big collector, or at least a big Hot Rod / Rodimus fan. This almost seems like this and Studio Series Rod almost seem like they're pick one or the other toys, because they're so similar. It's like, do you like this guy? Do you like this guy's Hot Rod or Rodimus, or are you a completist who needs him as both? And even though there are characters they do this for, it would seem odd to me that someone of Hot Rod's prominence would command two entirely different sets of engineerings in the same year.
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
Yeah. I agree.
One of our live viewers has commented, these images must be the most dissected images out there at present. I think you're quite correct. I've seen a few YouTube reviews along these lines as well. That's because people don't know how to review anything. But yeah,
let me add to the pile of criticism of the dissection. Sorry. And it's a shame you can't zoom in. But the other thing, just to your point, Daria, it's obviously a bigger version of the Hot Rod mold, but they've made changes to. Oh yes, excellent. Go closer to the face.
I don't know if I can. No, it's not working. It's now zooming. It's now zooming the interface around the thing.
Okay,
but I know you're probably going to try that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can still see, if you look at the face, that has definitely changed from the young, vibrant Hot Rod that was in the Studio Series 86 to being more of a weathered, older looking. He's seen a lot of stuff, this guy. But I couldn't help but when I zoomed in myself and had a look at that face, he just reminded me of Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. just that weathered face and the big lips that were sort of staring at me, saying, "This is the end of the road, Galvatron." And then he goes into dudes.
Are you sure he didn't say "love in an elevator, living it up while I'm going down," Galvatron?
He actually went into "dude looks like a lady," but that's a different sort of story. But yeah, but I just looked at the face mold, and it is so different. And it's, what it was for me when I first looked at the Cup Studio Series 86, and I looked at that face, and I was like, "What did you guys do to the face? Why did you have to change that?" That's an even better Steven Tyler. Look at this one, the picture that you've changed it to, Jace.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. Why did they have to play around with the face mold that much to make it a little uglier, if that makes sense?
So this is the photo that actually really sort of tweaked me onto the fact that this is probably the Studio Series 86 mold, because the Studio Series 86 figure also came with a matrix with like a lighting effect, and so
yes.
I figured it might even be the same lighting effect, and I pulled the Studio Series 86 one out of my effects bag. I'm like, oh no, it looks completely different. So
no, this one looks like a blue COVID. It's like a COVID under a microscope. This one.
Yes, that's true. As people have said, most dissected images on the internet. I'm gonna end this one on a bit of a positive note. Another user, another commenter said, regardless of whether there's a retool or not, I will be buying it.
Yeah, I should remain clear as well that despite all of my criticisms, I will be getting this. So,
Right. Oh, okay.
yeah, I'm a completist. And to Daria's point earlier, that's the bucket that I fall in. I need to have it just to complete the collection.
Fair enough too. I will also just point out when we discussed the hands before as well. The thing that moves figures between price points is the parts count. So we're looking at the hands and going, well, hey, he can move one of his fingers individually now, so that increases the parts count in the hand. So, this might be a very clever and very extensive retool of the Studio Series Hot Rod, but there's enough changed on there to change the parts count as well.
Yeah, right.
And like we know that the backpack is going to be quite different as well. The spoiler is much larger, and there's probably a bit of other engineering sitting at the back. So if it is the same as the 86 figure as a retool, then I'm also pretty happy for that anyway. I will also very likely buy this regardless of anything, just because he's a good figure to round out the 86 movie cast with. By the time he comes out, we probably would have gotten the next wave of Studio Series 86 figures in the Studio Series line, and this could be a cap to it. We'll see.
Which would include Wreck-Gar apparently. So
yes, I'm hearing that there'll be a Wreck-Gar in one of the subsequent waves, and also a Noir.
Yeah.
Don't know why they do another Noir, but that's.
Yeah.
We'll
What about you, Daria? Are you interested in Rodimus here?
I'm thinking about. I'm probably going to wait until there's either he's in the store or I can take a better look.
Yeah.
Morgan Moroney, who kindly has given us permission to see his name, says, "I would love to see some size comparisons." I think that sentiment is echoed very firmly on this panel. We definitely want to see what this looks like compared to other characters.
Size does matter.
And on that bombshell, it might be time to move on. We mentioned earlier that Takara were the ones who revealed this figure during the week, and they paired a couple of other reveals up with it. None of them are much of a surprise. Maverick is getting a release in Japan. Like, what a drop! What a drop going from Radomus Prime to Top Gun Maverick, eh? Maverick will be getting a release in Japan, just in case they were feeling left out. And there is also a Revenge of the Fallen Bumblebee, which I believe is a Studio Series figure, probably. I mean, it looks like a retool of every other Studio Series Bumblebee, right? So, yeah.
But of all the cross... Sorry, you go, Daria.
When you look at I have a feeling we might be about to say similar things anyway. When you look at all the fuss and eagerness over Ectotron and Gigawatt compared to Maverick just kind of and also ran.
Correct.
I feel like I like Maverick, right? I like the figure. I think the figure's cool. I just think it's not to everyone's taste, right? Like it's definitely a bit weird. And so I don't mind it, but I feel like Back to the Future, and Back to the Future and Ghostbusters are franchises that Transformers fans are more likely to be into than Top Gun.
Yeah, and I think that might also be why there is fiction for Ectotron and Gigawatt, but not for this guy. I haven't seen anyone announcing a comic or anything where Maverick, the guy's plane, turns out to be Maverick, the robot.
So we had Maverick on the table at Comic-Con, and as I was very fond of, people were really into the crossovers. Actually, they were like, I had the Ghostbusters Prime. They were like, I don't remember seeing that one. And I was like, well, blah blah blah, there's a comic for it, and it was like, there's a Ghostbusters Transformers crossover comic. There's a Ghostbusters Back to the Future crossover comic, and then there's the Maverick Top Gun Transformer, which is obviously based on the scene in Top Gun when Tom Cruise transforms into his F-15 jet mode and flies off. And everyone's just sort of like, just looked at me and nodded as I've said that, and then they're like, wait on, what? Yeah. So yeah, Maverick poorly served by related fiction. But also, remember, he was meant to come out at the same time as the Top Gun sequel, so kind of didn't need...
Yeah, he got a bit of hurt there.
Well, I mean, he kind of didn't need to have supporting media because there should have been a movie.
Although that too. But I was also about to ask, and people who know more about Top Gun and or planes might be able to answer better on this. Is Maverick's plane in Top Gun as iconic and recognizable as the time-traveling DeLorean or the Ecto-1 car?
No, I don't think so. And that, I think also it still goes to the fact that people are more likely to be into those other franchises than Top Gun. Like, Top Gun's definitely sort of more based on like the personality and the pilots and like the action sequences rather than the vehicles themselves. So yeah, like I said, it's getting a Japanese release. This is probably all we really need to talk about with it. There's the Revenge of the Fallen Bee. There's a couple of images of that one, and that was Takara's reveals for the other day. Should we talk about a big black and purple boy?
Yes, let's do it. Barney the dinosaur.
Right.
Let's go.
Yes, Barney the G2 Ramjet dinosaur. So the other big reveal this week was one that we had seen coming. We'd seen rumors of this on upcoming product sheets, and given that the rumors of him appeared about the same time as Deep Cover, and Deep Cover's already been released, we figured that this would be just a matter of time before it was revealed. So we are talking about the latest Seeker repaint to make it into the Generation Selects line, which is G2 Ramjet. He's got a stunningly gaudy color scheme. Like, it looks gorgeous. There's black, there's purple, there's some silver highlights, and there's just this wonderful aqua color on the hands and the feet, and some of the highlights throughout the body as well.
Yeah, hot take. I like his G2 color scheme better than his G1, to be honest.
I think they both clearly, they both serve a particular purpose, but the G1 color scheme of Ramjet, sort of the more restrained white and red, could not contrast more with the G2 color scheme. But also, I love the G2 color scheme. It's great. He's definitely going to be on my to buy list. As we've got a comment that's come in that says, any Transformers in black or purple look great. Then add that G2 aqua and blue, and you can't go wrong.
Very true. This is very much like if Hasbro went up to Prince and said, hey, listen, we want you to design a Transformer for us. Just choose a couple of colors, and what would you actually choose? And this is what he would come back with. All the purple, all the black, It's fantastic.
And as Jason Reddit says, the US Department of Defense are known for hot pink and purple paint jobs on their jets, which I'm not sure if that could link back to the previous discussion on Top Gun or not as well. But so the thing that gets me about the photo here is that Ramjet has his null ray cannon on one arm, and he's holding the other one in his hand as a handheld gun. Which is also quite different to the weapons that the character has long had as well.
Didn't he used to have those huge stonker cannons?
Yeah, he did. Which I guess they haven't molded. They haven't molded those at all for the Earthrise versions. But yeah, and so there's another shot here where he's gone handheld on both the weapons, and you can also see that he does have sort of the big sort of bombs on the wings, but they're molded in. Bombs or jets or something, whatever they are. And there is also, in true G2 fashion, the word Ramjet is emblazoned on the cockpit. I erroneously said wings a few days ago, but look, I love it. I think it looks great. I think perhaps ironically, this version of Ramjet is going to be easier to acquire than the Seekers Elite version that now no one can get from the Amazon exclusive 2-pack.
If they really want to scare us, they could have done one up as Action Master Thundercracker.
Mate, if that comes out later this year, I'm going to be so there for it, because don't forget that we've heard that the theme for Gen Selects this year is Shattered Glass. So like the Action Master Thundercracker, Shattered Glass, like, oh, come on, give it to us, Hasbro. Give it to me now.
Now that you mention that's a really good point. That would fit quite well with the Shattered Glass Ratchet, the Shattered Glass Prime. The color scheme fits so well. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. He's pretty great. Just gonna say. Also, as Morgan points out, the G2 Ramjet had launches.
Nice. Okay.
Fair enough.
Missile launches, I think he meant. Yeah.
But Jace, you're a massive collector.
More purple.
Nothing wrong with purple.
And in fact, the theme for our podcast theme is purple. We've got the purple color scheme on our names and everything. So, yeah.
That's right. But you actually are a massive collector of Generation Selects, aren't you, Jace? So this is right up your alley. You like the alternative colouring.
Yeah, so this is right up my alley on two counts, right? Like, one, Generation Selects, yes, and two, it's a seeker, so of course I'm going to buy it. I must admit, I'm vaguely regretting not getting into the seeker mold in Siege, given how firmly they seem to have committed to the seekers over the last couple of years. Like I sort of wish that I had more. So in fact, my only Siege seekers are Thundercracker and Hotlink. So I definitely don't have Skywarp, and I didn't bother picking up the Starscream either. But,
we had a discussion on this a couple of months ago, and then you were having a crack at me about the number of Siege Seekers that I was buying, like the Rainmakers. And now it sounds like, Jace, that you are changing your tune. What's going on?
Do you know why I'm changing my tune?
Why?
Because I have a box of Rainmakers here that needs a buyer.
Yes.
And I don't think I'm going to be able to sell it for the amount of money that I brought it in, so I may as well put them on my shelves. But what I'm probably going to do...
It's an economic decision.
Yeah. It's purely based on economics. Like, I may as well collect this now.
That's hilarious.
What I think I might do, though, is I might give them to someone to try to customize them to tone down the frankly fluorescent color scheme, and see if I can sort of bring some.
Oh yeah, they're even more G2 than this guy is.
Yeah, true.
They're not G2. They're just radioactive.
But they look amazing. Once you take them out if you ever took them out of the box, Jace, and you looked at them in clear daylight, they look fantastic. As a group, together with the other Siege Seekers, they look fantastic. And Red Wing as well.
I can only do that if I'm wearing sunglasses.
Because the future's too bright? Or,
yeah, the future's so bright I've got to wear shades, yeah. So anyway, back to G2 Ramjet.
Yep.
Like, he looks the goods. I've got the G2 Ramjet version of the Generations Seeker, and frankly, I can't wait to put these guys together and take some comparison photos and just do the classic "Don't speak to me or my son ever again" with the two of them, pictured side by side.
I get the sense they're going to reuse this Seeker mold a lot in the same way they've done the Sideswipe mold.
Maybe. I don't know. Like, I feel like this could be close to the end of it, right? Because Kingdom is the end of the trilogy, where this mold has sort of come from, been retooled into sort of the ones that we know and love, and there's a lot of them already out there. There's a few more esoteric characters like the G2 Sandstorm. That's one from left field.
Yep.
And so like I feel like they're kind of reaching the end of it, but you never know.
Look how long they dragged out the Classics mold.
Yeah, they did, but I feel like we're in a different time now, where like we've seen very little reuse of old molds throughout Siege and Earthrise. Like the only thing that really comes to mind is not Nightbeat, but Punch Counterpunch in the Galactic Odyssey Dominus set. Like, that's the only time they've brought out anything that wasn't made in the last couple of years. So I feel like when they move on to a new design or a new mold, I think that might be it. However, there's also rumors that next year is going to be a bit of a filler year between ranges, so maybe we will still see them using the Earthrise Seeker mold a little bit more. So could go either way. Shall we move on?
Yes.
I'm confident in saying that we're all going to buy a G2 Ramjet.
Yeah.
Worth noting, he is up for sale at so he's up for pre-order at EB Games. He's $65 at EB Games. You can of course pick up in the store. However, we'll also point out that if you've been looking for G2 Sandstorm and you want a G2 Ramjet as well, you can get them both for $60 and as a promotion for $60 each with free shipping from Robotoys. So that might swing the balance in Robotoy's favour if you do want both of those Seekers.
We should also note before closing out that you also ordered 75 thrusts this week, Jace, and you probably have at least 74 to give away.
I'm actually I tallied them up. I'm at 58. So yeah, I have imported 58 thrusts for TCCA members, including myself, and one that we did run the giveaway. So we did give away thrust. We do still have a few Seekers that will come up for giveaways in TCCA. We've got the Ramjet and Dirge 2-pack. So yeah, that'll probably come up in the next few weeks.
It's about the same amount of grapples that are in the Sydney City Mire at the moment, so that's great.
Yeah. So one of the reasons I've changed the lighting in my room is so that it doesn't look like a toy store, because there are just piles of Transformers behind me that are yet to ship out to TCCA members. So yeah.
Excellent.
All right, let's move on. The next story is the other big story that broke today or yesterday, I'm not sure. Hasbro and Walmart in the US, surprise, bringing out some reissues of vintage toys. This year, it's I was going to say Kingdom. This year, it's Beast Wars. So they're bringing back four of the original Beast Wars toys from the 90s, which was left to right. We're looking at Megatron, Optimus Prime, Cheetor, and Rat Trap. So these are the original toys, not the Kingdom re-releases, which is a little. If you're confused by this, I can't blame you, because they've just released new versions of these figures, and now they're going to release the old versions as well. And they've also just this year released the repackage of the new toys for the Headmasters in the old packaging. So if you were to walk into a store and see like Beast Wars Megatron on the shelf and think that you were getting a modern version, I couldn't blame you. However, they are going to be reissued in pretty close to their original packaging. So we've got the picture of the Rat Trap packaging on screen here. They're really going all out on the recreating the packaging for these guys, which is pretty welcome, I think. And also it goes right down to the fact that they're putting the Kenner brand on the package as well. So the other thing that I think is worth noting is that a lot of the Beast Wars figures were some of the first use of ball joints and the like in Transformers, and so when you put these figures into sort of, we've been looking at a lot of Daria's dropped off. We've been looking at a lot of figures put in like a very high quality photo environment with the sorry, I'm just going to bring Daria back in. Hey Daria, welcome back.
We got bumped.
It's all right. We've been looking at a lot of figures put in so these very high quality photo environments, and we're like, look at how the posability and stuff works. These figures, I think it's fair to say, these figures actually hold up.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Like these figures do not look out of place compared to their more modern updates. There are definitely differences, right? So the bright blue on Primal's weapon there is different. The original weapons weren't that bright blue. I think it's good that you can actually tell the difference between the originals and the reissues. Like we always hate seeing reissues that you can't tell apart, especially as collectors. But given the technology and the joints that we used in a lot of the Beast Wars figures for the first time in the product line, I think it's really interesting to see us sort of put them in the same setting as we've seen more modern Transformers go, and just go, yeah, actually, you know what? I can't necessarily tell if that's the old toy or the new one. Like especially Primal. Like it's only when you sort of look at the face on that figure that you really sort of go, oh yeah, no, that's the old toy. But, yeah. So we have heard from Ozformers that these guys are coming to Australia, and they're going to be in Big W. So we will be expecting to see these hit later this year. I assume they're not. I assume they're not coming anytime particularly soon, given the sort of the usual length between reveals and the like. But So what do you guys think of the vintage Beast Wars reissues? It's nice to see the brand, back on the shelves as well, instead of just packaging them under Kingdom or anything. But as I said earlier, the beasts are not something that necessarily appeals to me, and I know you probably not as well, Tony. So Daria, Beast Wars reissues, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm impressed that they're there. I think particularly people who want a rat trap more like his old self will be glad this guy's coming back in his old size, because the current one is a tiny little boy. And yeah, I think you're right. These figures hold up. I remember how impressed people were with the figures at the time in 1996 once we got over the whole, oh my goodness, no, truck, not monkey stuff. But yeah, I remember the first time I picked up, I still remember the first time I picked up the T-Rex Megatron, and his lack of hands was a bit weird, but I remember how overall impressed I was with his posability and transformability. And one of the things we don't give much credit for now is this was when they first had to turn into animals that really looked like animals. It used to be when they turned into robot animals, apart from the obvious making them look like metal or flesh thing, any excess parts usually just got disguised as fuel tanks or fins or gears or guns or whatever, whereas for the most part, from at least some angles, the original Beast Wars toys were the first ones that had to be able to tuck away most, if not all, of their robot mode into a quote-unquote real animal mode. So seeing them return to see where it all began, that's pretty cool.
So one of our live comments says, without seeing them in the flesh, as in the plastic, I think I'll give them a pass. Happy with the Kingdom versions, which I think is something that they run the risk of. These are not going to be cheap either. All the G1 reissues that are obviously falling under the same program, they haven't been cheap. We've seen a $79 G1 Optimus without his trailer hitting Kmart stores recently as well. So yeah, I don't think they'll be. I don't think they'll be a cheap thing to pick up. There was a price if I scroll back up the page. Deluxes will be $20 US, which is the same price as a modern deluxe, and the leaders will be $40 US. So I think they'll be not cheap. Yeah.
The thing I don't have a barometer for, and I'm interested, Daria, in your perspective on this, that with the G1 reissues of Soundwave, which sold out so quick in Kmart's, and even the primes that you just mentioned, Jace, in the Kmart's, they all sold, right? So because people, despite having Earthrise options and Siege options, they still sold because I think people still have that level of nostalgia for them. As a Beast Wars fan, I just don't know, does that kind of duality still exist for those guys as well that are so into Beast Wars? Do you still look at the vintage stuff and say, actually, I love this show and I love the characters so much that I'm just going to scoop up everything I possibly can? Or do you do what Jason, or the commenter before said, and just go straight for the better looking
Jason.
Kingdom? Yeah, was Jason? Sorry, okay, yeah.
Yes.
But do you go for that? Like, you go for the most recent versions because they just look better? I don't know. Daria, I'm interested to hear your view on this.
I think, me personally, I'm a fiction/character person.
Okay.
So I would be going based more on the character, hence not getting many of the Kingdom toys, because I have the characters I like in some form or another that I like already.
Right.
I do know that there are people, not to the same degree as G1, and I think this might be why we're looking at 4 figures and not 14, for example, that love the original Beast Wars and love the original Beast Wars. If you see what I mean, they love their weird Optimus Primal with the Optimus Prime face. They like the transforming where the legs become legs and the arms become arms, and they just love looking back at the sheer novelty of these things being what they are. And of course,
I think we've lost Daria.
I think we may have lost Daria. We will see. It was right in the middle of a point as well.
Yeah, the sweet spot of the point.
Yeah.
But I think that's what's going to happen, Jace, is that people will look at this and they'll say, okay, well, I really love Beast Wars, but I don't love it as much as the G1 versions, like the fans that I was referring to before, and so these probably sit on the shelves for a little bit longer.
Maybe they will. I also feel like they've already scratched the nostalgia itch this year by bringing back these characters in Kingdom.
Yeah.
And I do think that it's a bit of a tough sell to actually say, hey, you know what, we want you to buy a second Cheetor. In fact, it could be a third, because we know there's going to be a Cheetor in Netflix as well.
Yes, true. That's a good
So,
point.
yeah. Look, let's move on from the vintage reissues. We are going to talk about a little website called Hasbro Pulse. Hasbro Pulse has gone international. Daria is back with us. Daria, we've changed stories while you've been gone. Hasbro Pulse has gone international. Pulse is now available in the UK, and I think it's fair to say that it did not go the way that everyone in the UK thought that it would. So I don't know how closely you guys follow anything to do with Hasbro Pulse. I often buy some exclusives and some of their reissues and things like that. So I've been a little bit more attuned to what's going on with Pulse. But generally, I feel like the fandom has been screaming at Hasbro for ages. Can you please make Pulse international? And Hasbro's been like, no. Come on, make Pulse international. They're like, fine. Here you go. We're going to open up Pulse in the UK. And everyone's like, great! Pulse is coming to the UK. Hang on. Half the shit is not on it.
Oh, that kind of misses the point rather, doesn't it?
It does. So I've got the Pulse website open. So if I look for the Pit of Judgment, it is not there.
Wow.
So they've let people have the behind the scenes design video for the Pit of Judgment set, but it ain't there. So I think it's fair to say that this has not really. But they will sell you Pulse Premium. This has not gone exactly the way that people in the UK thought it would go with getting the site over to the UK. So it's got a different catalogue. The other thing that I'm noticing, and while I'm here in the search area, I'm just going to bring this up. So we know that the price of a Seeker, for example, in the US is about $30. Okay, how big?
Yep.
How big do you think the price tag on G2 Ramjet for Pulse in the UK is?
£30?
£33.
Blimey.
I know. Cool, blimey, what a smeghead, eh? So yeah, that's. I would say that this has not really gone the way that people thought it would, and it does give me a little bit of concern that when people are like, bring Pulse to Australia, Hasbro will just go, sure, we'll bring Pulse to Australia. We brought Pulse to the UK, and we're going to do exactly the same thing here. So,
And the only thing you'll be able to buy from Hasbro Pulse Australia is Grapple Earthrise. That's the only thing they'll have.
I got to be honest. I reckon in about 2 or 3 years' time, I think Grapple will turn up at the reject shop. I'll say.
That's right. But can I ask though, because you sound like you've followed Hasbro Pulse a lot. I had heard stories of the American site, having all of these pre-orders and all that kind of stuff. But then when the pre-order dates arrive or the delivery dates arrive, that somehow the pre-orders don't get filled, and that the stock that people have ordered on Hasbro Pulse end up in retail at a Walmart or a Target or something in America. Is that what you've been hearing?
I've never heard that.
Okay.
Anything that I've ordered from Pulse has always shipped.
Okay.
So they're pretty careful with their. So Pulse isn't. Pulse is not a shopfront that only sells exclusive items. So they'll sell the same things that are available everywhere else. So Generation Select's Ramjet, G2 Ramjet, is not a Pulse exclusive, but because it's a Gen Selects, they will sell it on Pulse. Like you can buy it from Big Bad Toy Store and other things as well. So he's for sale from EB Games here. There are some things that are Pulse exclusives, at least in the US. So like the Quintesson Pit of Judgment is a Pulse exclusive. But that's also available from other places as well, just sort of less so in the US. We brought in a bunch from Hong Kong and from Singapore. But yeah, and I'm just going to bring up this comment, which is on point to what you were talking about. Morgan says, I've heard that you get it from Hasbro Pulse, but after everyone else gets it, like a few months after. And that's true, but there's a reason for this, right? Like, we have a unique perspective on release dates because we're in Australia. We can often get stuff from sites like Robot Kingdom. Now, I think you might find that Robot Kingdom is a lot more popular around Asia and around Australia due to proximity than it would be in the US. I think in the US, people will buy from Big Bad Toy Store and places like that. And so we know that Robot Kingdom will get things a little bit early, like a lot of things go to Hasbro Asia before they go to the rest of the world. And so Gen Selects usually end up coming out in Asia before everywhere else. So deep cover is turning up in EB stores now. We had deep cover for the club about a month ago, and generally what we find is that the Gen Selects come to Hong Kong and they turn up on the streets in Hong Kong a little bit, like a month or two before their regular release. Now, if I go to the page for deep cover here, this might not work. I'm doing this live. We'll see what happens. So deep cover, his release date on Pulse is here now. Fair enough. So the Big Bad Toy Store listing for deep cover lists that he's due for release this month. So that's March, but like he came out in January. So like we've had him for a while, and so I think that goes to Morgan's comment. Like you get it from Pulse, but you get it a few months after because they're tied to the US release, and so not all of these figures come out early from in the US, and we also see this we also see this happen with sort of the non-exclusive figures as well. So they'll be available in other territories before they hit the US, and so Pulse is very very much sort of stuck on that release window.
So what is the customer proposition for Hasbro Pulse then? So why would you sign up to Hasbro Pulse? Is it the guarantee of supply, even though it's a little bit later than everybody else, but you'll definitely get something if you buy it from the Hasbro Pulse website?
You raise an interesting question. So Pulse does have exclusive items, right? So
yeah.
So when you say sign up to Pulse, all you got to do is give them a login and a password, right? Pulse does have a premium service, so it's $50 a year and you get free shipping on anything that you order.
Right.
They are generally they're a little bit cheaper than generally when items turn up on Big Bad Toy Store puts a $2 premium on them. So like deep cover might be $20, but it'll be $22 on Big Bad Toy Store. So also, Pulse will ship for free if you order more than $50 worth of stuff anyway. It is the slowest shipping I've ever seen. It takes a week to get from one side of the US to the other. I don't know what they're doing. They must put it on a push bike or something. But it's free. So I don't care, especially because it's never the first release of these things. So like your value proposition is like, well, hey, it's free. You can sign up and you can get figures that are, they might be exclusive to Pulse. But there's also been rumours this year that Hasbro will be taking anything that's exclusive to other retailers and just putting a cut of that stock on Pulse because people have been complaining about how hard it is to get exclusives. Haven't necessarily seen that happening yet, but we also haven't really seen any retailer exclusives just yet. In fact, actually, we sort of have because the Retro Headmaster reissues are listed on Hasbro Pulse, even though they're Walmart exclusive. So there's... I think Hasbro is evolving their offering in response to what people have said and what they've complained about with the service.
It sounds like from what you're describing, it's trying to be a bit of an Amazon for Transformers toys or Amazon for Hasbro in some ways, where you've got that shipping option if you pay a little bit more. You have access to exclusives that are only available through the Hasbro Pulse. But then you also have that sort of, not guarantee, but you have that certainty of supply, in that if they show it on the website, it'll be there for you to be able to purchase.
I guess. So there's been a couple of times where I've tried to order something and it's fallen out of stock while I'm getting ready to place the order. But I mean that happens on any service when there's limited stock. So the Quintesson Pit of Judgment, I tried to order off Pulse I think it must have been like September last year, was gone within a minute. But that's how that goes. And the Quintesson Pit of Judgment is back up for pre-order on Pulse if you're not using the UK one. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's just another site to go to buy Transformers.
Yes, exactly.
So let's move on. So caveat emptor. We'll see what happens if Hasbro does move Pulse out of the US and the UK. We'll see where we go. We'll talk about A Tale of Two Devastators very quickly because we are running quite overtime. As happens a lot of times in the third-party toy space, one company will announce a figure and then another will announce much the same figure. So we've seen that happen this week. Magic Square announced they are doing a version of Devastator. And Magic Square is one of those companies that works at the Legends scale, so he's a tiny Devastator.
Yeah.
He also looks pretty awesome, actually. This is possibly the first time that I'm going to say this, but New Age followed up by saying, we're doing Devastator as well, and I'm predisposed to go for New Age over Magic Square, but I really think that Magic Square one looks a bit better than this.
Interesting. Yes, because I was going to go Magic Square. This New Age looks good. I got to say, I'm not going to take that anything away from it, but I would go for the Magic Square because it looks so much more cartoon accurate.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? It's really hard looking at them to sort of put your finger on exactly what it is that's different and appealing about both of them. But the Magic Square one, I think we're looking at renders in both cases anyway. The Magic Square one just seems to have a slightly stronger pose to it, I think.
Yes.
But also, I don't think Devastator's necessarily had like a super strong pose in his combined mode before, because it's like, holy shit, this is 6 Constructicons only just sort of holding together. So I don't know that the New Age one is necessarily that bad an interpretation either. And like I said, I'm predisposed to enjoy New Age because I like their jazz, I like their Megatron. Like they make really, really lovely figures. Are either of you guys in the market for a third-party Legend scale Devastator?
Not my scene. I mean, he's cute. He's cute and all, but I don't think I'd go for him.
For me, I feel like I should get it because, as you know, Jace, I purchased the Combiner Wars Devastator off of Amazon, and this would be a great opportunity if I got the Magic Square one to have "Never talk to me or my son again" type meme or photo.
I feel like this might be the second time we've heard that line tonight.
Yeah, that's right, and it'll come again. But I think this is a great little figure. I was curious though, with this Magic Square, can you disassemble it into the mini Constructicons? Because I've only ever seen the picture of the Devastator.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
If we let them the pictures load up, you can definitely disassemble them, and they do transform.
Oh, hello.
Yeah. So there you go. There's there's one of the individual.
Oh, look at that! They're so cute.
Oh, that makes it a little bit more appealing. Okay, I thought it was just like a Devastator figure that they just made as Devastator, but okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So he's definitely a combiner. Combiner at that scale is pretty impressive. Yeah. So I really think it's fair to say Magic Square is really up to their game because they've had quite a lot of competition from New Age in the last year or two. So I think they're doing quite well here.
Well, I was fooled by the whole Devastator because he's very clean for a combiner figure. That one.
Sure.
Yes. Combiners often have bits and greebles all over the place, and that's part of why I thought it was just made straight as a Devastator because it was just so neat.
Yeah. It's also worth noting in the background. There's also very obvious Stunticons as well, which I don't know. Has Magic Square been known to do Stunticons before? Because holy shit, if not, I don't know. And Morgan's also pointed out, is there a price for the Stunticons? Because they might be similar to that. I don't know. I didn't actually realize Magic Square did Stunticons either. But that's the Magic Square Devastator, and New Age. I think we've only got one. We got two photos. So there's one of New Age's sort of figures put together. But I don't know. I feel like this round might go to Magic Square. But obviously, these figures are not released yet. They're not ready for release yet. It'll be a few months before they are. I gotta say, I got stung by DX9 Hulky. I don't really have that much of an appetite for a Legend scale Devastator anymore. But if you do, then knock yourself out.
What do you mean you got stung? What happened?
Oh, it's terrible. So Hulky. So some of the way that joints would connect up on Hulky, there would just be like a plug that plugs into a hole.
Oh, okay.
And that was it. Like, there's nothing that fastened them in. They would fasten in on the legs, but the arms would just like be something that just sits there, and the pegs never went in far enough.
Oh, you're on mute, Jace. You've just fallen onto mute.
Yeah. You've gone shush.
No, I can't hear you.
No. Still can't hear you.
It must have been all that negative Hulky talk, Daria, that he was going on about the manufacturer managed to hack into his website or internet service.
Yeah, I'm looking at the name on this one, New Age Hephaestus. So I guess we're veering from synonyms into mythology for third-party
Yes.
toys.
I can't wait for the New Age Loki, what that would look like. New Age Hercules, maybe? Are we going to
I
that?
think they've done a
Greek mythology?
Hercules.
They have done a Hercules.
Yeah, and I think it was also Constructicons. That's another thing, is that we've got no shortage of third-party Constructicons.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Well, I can. Yes,
Excellent.
we can.
Yes, something happened. My USB port shorted out or something, but yeah. Yeah. So yeah, lots of third-party Constructicons, right?
Cool.
Yeah. So that's about it. We've got one more quick news story to go through, and Brad's going to kill us because we're well over time on the show. Which is, if you've been looking for a truck and you've got about $20,000 US, then you can make an offer on the Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime.
Yeah, I'm sure that will fit in my garage.
Alongside Unicron in storage, right?
Yeah.
The question I have for you, Jace, is can I buy this from Hasbro Pulse UK?
No,
Okay.
you cannot. You also
Then
can't
I'm
buy
out.
it from Pulse US. No, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah. So yeah, no. He is up for sale, which I guess means that they're not using this truck for Bumblebee 2 or whatever they're filming at the moment. So yeah.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, if you get that, you'll get a call every time one of your friends is moving house.
That is true. That is true. Moving house is the right of all sentient beings. Yes. Is it just me, or does it look like the trailer is like a bit bent? Like maybe it's just like the
Yeah.
perspective on the photo or something. It looks like the trailer's on a bit of a weird bend. Yeah.
Do you think they made it that way, or was it custom designed?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let me look at the text of the article. There's a 1987 Freightliner truck. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily answer the question as to whether or not it was. I mean,
Well,
like
that's
they very
what
likely
the original
painted
toy
it
was
that way.
based on.
Yes, that's
You would-
right.
Was it a
or at least
Freightliner?
that's- Yeah, it was a 19.
Yeah.
Wasn't a 1987 for obvious chronological reasons, but it was a Freightliner.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, like he's very different to Prime's actual alt mode, but still, yeah. And apparently there was some damage to the front grille, which was I believe they said a bird strike or something like that. So yeah.
No, well, Megatron threw a shard at him in the animated movie. So
Megatron is well known to cause problems for Bumblebee Prime. So yeah, that's it for news for the week. Like we went a bit over time, but I had a good time, so I'm okay with this.
We were also away for 2 weeks, though, Jace. So we are catching up on a whole bunch of stuff. So apologies to Brad, but there's a lot of stuff to talk about that we had to catch up.
It's true. Let's talk about some acquisitions. I don't have any acquisitions to show, so I'm just gonna say I've got the Ultimate Expanse X-Men crossover. I haven't opened it yet, so looking forward to opening it, but haven't done so yet. How about yourself, Daria?
Not ordered. I lay by 2 of the retro headmasters, so I should go and tell my retail spottings group that they've turned up on local shelves, and I put aside who was it? Hardhead and Mindwipe.
All right. Yeah. Cool.
And they're cheaper than I thought. They're only $29, at least where I did it.
No, they're all $29. And if you managed to find them during last week when they're on sale, they were $23. So that's a lot cheaper than I thought they were going to be. So yeah, pretty good.
So Daria, the fact that they were Titans Returns figures in old retro boxes, that didn't put you off from getting the figures, obviously.
No, not at all. And in fact, partly these were characters I'd missed during Titan's Return. So
okay.
That was helpful.
Yep. Okay, cool.
Sounds good. How about yourself, Tony? I have a photograph of of what you've got.
Yeah, so I picked
acquisition.
up a trade paperback comic of Transformers '84: Secrets and Lies, which marks Simon Furman's return to writing the comics, and for this time for IDW. But it's set during the original '80s comic run, and it's just basically telling more adventures and more stories. And I'm only up to sort of issue 1 at the moment, but I got to say the artwork by this guy Guido Guidi is fantastic. It's
Guido Guidi's artwork's been fantastic for.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
he's good at imitating a kind of Marvel US style without the sort of eye rolling you'd occasionally get of oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and then just some of the characters that they sort of reintroduce as well, and the Megatron, as you can see on the cover, is very faithful to the original comics version of him as well.
He's got the black head. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Which could be, I mean, a Generation Selects figure as well. If you think about it, they could probably do a version eventually. But yeah, no, it's. I haven't read it fully yet, but I'm really glad that I picked it up. And
I've heard really good things. So,
yeah.
I've heard good reviews of it. So yeah.
Yeah. And that was it for me. Yeah.
Well, that's it for so acquisitions is very quick this week.
Yes.
But despite being away for a couple of weeks, we didn't really have that much to talk about. Very quickly. As I said, we're running a little bit over time. I'm going to talk a little bit about club news, some TCCA stuff. 2 pieces to discuss. One, great news for the club and for memberships. We've actually smashed our all-time membership record. So. We've for the 2020-2021 financial year, we have more members signed up to join the club than ever before in any of the financial years that the club has been taking memberships for. And so,
oh wow,
I want to give everyone who's listening to this who's a paid member a massive thank you. It's like it really means a lot to have that support for what we're doing with the club. It's a massive thank you. And if you are listening to this and you haven't signed up to support the club, there's a lot of good bonuses that you get. Chief among them being that I will import a bunch of figures and leave them in my study until you're ready to ship them to yourself. My study does look like a toy room in supporting member stuff. So there was a question from someone who said how many members now, Jason? The exact number, I'm not quite sure. I haven't checked today, but it's close to 220. So the previous record was 208. We're very, very happy to say that we've had a late run on members in the last week or so, and it's very heartening to see. Now the second bit of news that we'll talk about is also club related, but it's fundraising related. And I've flashed this guy around a little bit, I'm just going to put myself up on the solo layout for the screen. We have a very special raffle that's going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks, and it's this little fella here, which is he's a Netflix Bumblebee who has been customized by Michael Fauché, who you would have seen in our Facebook group, who operates his customs as M's Toy Customs, and he has very, very carefully repainted Bumblebee. The figure transforms quite happily. He's used this wonderful gold tinsel paint, which is a special edition. So like this is very difficult to recreate. And my favourite thing about the figure is actually the shiny blue paint that he's applied to the limbs and joints as well. He looks like he was meant to be a special edition character. And if I can hold that up there and get my camera to focus, he also has changed the head on Bumblebee, and he's actually used the Generations Goldfire head. So this is a very special. It's a one of a kind figure, and we are going to be offering this as a fundraiser raffle. All proceeds for the fundraiser will go to the Royal Children's Hospital Good Friday Appeal, and they will be donated on the 4th of April. So I got to say, we had this guy on the stage. We had this guy on the stage. We had this guy on the stand at Oz Comic Con, and we sold a bunch of tickets through Oz Comic Con, but there's also been a lot of interest in him from other related parties, and we have actually sold about 40 tickets so far. So that's without actually advertising him in the group. There will be no limit on the tickets. The tickets will be $5 each, and as I said, every single part of that $5, or the $4.85 if you use goods and services, will go towards the go to the Good Friday appeal in April. So we would love to make a massive donation. I think that the figure is absolutely stunning to look at in person. I think there's enough interest in the figure that I think we should be able to drive that up to $1,000. So I'd like to sell a crapload more tickets for this, and so we will have information on how to sign up for that and to buy tickets coming up in the group in the next few days, and then we'll run that until pretty much until the end of the month. So today is the 12th of March, so we'd like to draw it sometime around the end of the month. There's a comment there that says Bumblebee. I feel like a gold bug. Optimus Prime. That's who you'll be. You'll be now Bumblebee gold bug. As well, I was hoping I could still be called Bumblebee. Quiet gold bug. So yeah. Thank you, Morgan, for the little script there. So yeah, we will have Netflix Goldbug will be coming up for fundraising over the course of March, and yeah, we would love to make that a huge success and bring in as many dollary dues as we can and donate them straight onto the Good Friday appeal in April. So without further ado, that is about it for the podcast. We are, as I said, running way over time. Does anyone have anything that we should talk about quickly before we finish the show?
No, nothing from me. I feel like I'm hoping that the Infernos will eventually reach New South Wales, so you and I can get some, Jace.
Hopefully the Inferno figures and not the bushfires that we had last year.
That's right.
So yeah, to be perfectly honest, I'm probably not going to buy him. I have Masterpiece, Inferno, Grapple, and Artfire up on my shelf, so I kind of don't need more of them. So
fair enough.
Yeah. There's if there was a hauler, I'd think about it. But yeah. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you for listening, everyone. And if you've been watching along with the live record, and a few people have, so thank you very much. We actually don't often do the listener interaction. That's been something new that we've been doing in the last month or two, and I think it works out well. So if you've been watching along with the live record, then yeah, thanks for checking us out. You can find out more about these stories in the show notes. They're posted to the Transformers Weekly Facebook page and the Podbean site. That is transformersweekly.podbean.com. And you can also find all three of us in the Transformers Collectors Club Australia group on Facebook if you would like to interact with us and ask us questions. If you're not already subscribed to the podcast, you'll find us on iTunes, Pocket Casts, Spotify, YouTube, and all sorts of other podcatchers of choice. And if you can't find it, then the RSS feed is on the website as well. We are a production of Transformers Collectors Club Australia. We've talked about the club a lot in this podcast, so I'm not really going to talk about it that much more. If you would like to sign up for membership, you can find out all about it at transformerscca.com. That is it from us, and we will be back possibly next week. We'll see how we go with more Transformers news. Goodbye.
Good night, everyone.